Meditation isn't just rainbows and butterflies. The mainstream idea of what meditation is fairly childish. We usually think of someone just sitting down in pure peace and bliss and they're never angry. I talk a lot about how fantastic meditation is in quite a lot of my videos. So I'm deciding to make a video specifically dedicated to the dark aspects of meditation. Meditation is designed to bring out a lot of things that you're completely unconscious of. Repressed emotions, repressed beliefs, trauma. It's really about making your unconscious conscious, and humans really fear their own mind. Humans fear exploring their own consciousness. Humans fear change. Humans fear seeing reality clearly. Humans fear processing their trauma. That's why we repress all this kind of stuff and deny it and push it away and avoid and, just distract ourselves and believe in a bunch of nonsense. But I believe that meditation is extremely beneficial for the vast majority of people if they want to increase the quality of their life. But for some people, it's really not. For some people, meditation can actually damage their life if they don't have the proper support or if they have certain mental health problems. So I want to dedicate this video to talking about the problems of meditation and just some very dark aspects of it that you can expect to encounter if you practice it regularly. So I don't want you to use this video as a reason to not meditate, because if you're kind of like the average person, you don't have any serious mental health problems, you're not going to have a psychotic break, you have a decent amount of support in your life, meditation is most likely very beneficial to you, like one of the best things you can actually do for yourself. But I really want to point out how brutal of a practice this can actually be and really what you're getting yourself into. I want to point out how deep some of this stuff really goes. Like, what are we really looking into when we are making our unconscious conscious? And a lot of this stuff is really difficult for everyone to actually begin to come to terms with and process and understand. But there are some people who I believe really should not meditate, because they, at their current state or stage of their life, cannot really handle it. And I'm talking about people with like serious trauma, very serious mental health problems. Although meditation actually does help for trauma and mental health problems, it's really about the specific individual. Some people can really have like just breakdowns and all sorts of like unexpected phenomena. So I want to talk a little bit about what is actually stored within practically every human being. And it's not equal in everyone to the exact same degree, but these are just general patterns. It's usually stuff that is very difficult or uncomfortable for us to really come to terms with, to feel, to process, to understand, that we really just repress. And we act like it doesn't exist, and we avoid it, and we believe all sorts of nonsense to cover it up, but nonetheless, it's there, and it's impacting us. So the first one is fear. And fear of death. I'm starting in a really good place. But we all know that our life is going to come to an end far sooner than we really think so. Like, we act like we're not going to die. We act like we're immortal. On our day-to-day lives, we're not usually thinking about how we're going to die, but you are going to die, and it will come far sooner than you like to think. Like, it's really gonna fly by, and you're gonna have to face that one head on. And meditation really brings you face to face with your own mortality. It brings you face to face with the truth, with the things that you avoid within yourself. This is not just rainbows and butterflies. This is really about processing your suffering, watching how you create suffering, like watching your delusions. Like, your inner world is very ugly in a lot of cases. Like, being a human is difficult. Being a human is incredibly hard. Next are things like guilt, shame, embarrassment. These are just really uncomfortable things that when we experience guilt or shame or embarrassment, like, these are very low vibrational emotions, very heavy and like dense and just uncomfortable, and they really just make us feel unworthy and just like a sense of just like inner collapse, like just cave down like that. And meditation is going to bring all this stuff out of you. Like, it's inevitable that if you have a sincere heart, it will bring you face to face with everything that you are avoiding inside of yourself, or at least it will begin to put you on that path. Moving on, we have terror, sadness, reactivity, grief, loss, anger, trauma. Like a lot of this stuff is just when we experience this stuff head on, we do not embrace this kind of stuff. We do not meet it with equanimity. We meet it with reactivity. We meet our reactivity with reactivity. We meet our unconsciousness with unconsciousness. We meet our repression with more repression until we become conscious. So a lot of this stuff is really just baked into the patterns of your psyche, your body, your emotional system, your body-mind in general. And to really begin to be honest about the fact that this stuff is just existing inside of you and it's really impacting you quite deeply. Like, this is not a very comfortable thing to come face to face with. Like, if there's this book behind me over here, Bringing Your Shadow Out of the Dark. If you really want a rude awakening, that's a fantastic book to read. Next is mental illness, insecurity, regret, jealousy, loneliness, betrayal, disappointment, resentment, vulnerability, like a fear of vulnerability, just a sense of vulnerability, self-doubt, right? You see the general pattern here is like when these things occur in our experience, we really don't, especially as a culture, have the consciousness to process these things and relate to them in any sort of meaningful or healthy way. Generally, mankind is very, very immature. All we really do is talk about how great we are and how smart we are, and we're an intelligent species, but like we're very full of ourselves as a species. Like, we're pretty narcissistic when we talk about how smart we are and how great we are, and our science is fantastic, our technology is fantastic, we put a man on the moon. Like, we really just blow smoke up our own asses quite a lot. And really, when it comes to consciousness, emotional intelligence, when it comes to being aware, we are very undeveloped. When it comes to spiritual intelligence, we are very underdeveloped for the amount of technology that we have, for the amount of power that we have, for the amount of resources that we have. We're very underdeveloped and immature with all of it. And we're so underdeveloped in spiritual intelligence that there's a lot of people that are existing on the planet right now that would completely deny that that is a valid facet of human intelligence, when it most definitely is if you have ever decided to develop it, like through a meditation practice, a meditation retreat, self-inquiry, shadow work, just raising your consciousness. It becomes a very obvious thing. It's like, how is this even up for debate that this like can exist? Like, this exists in people. But I really hope that you're getting the point. It's like the way we handle these energies inside of us, the way we handle these emotions, the way we handle these feelings and sensations, the way we handle our trauma, the way we're able to think about these things, like how we hold them, even just conceptually, before we move into our actual experience and can process them or sit with them in any kind of healthy way. Just the way we think about them is already terrible as a species. Next is existential anxiety. Like, just a sense of like, you don't really know what the hell reality is. It's just chaotic. Things are constantly changing, and our mind is always trying to build security and predictability and control things in order to really like suppress this existential anxiety and to really meditate and just start to let go. Like, yeah, it can bring out a whole bunch of stuff inside of you, like a deep worry of the fact that you're gonna die, or you don't know really what's going on here. Like, reality is very mysterious, and like it's very, very odd that we even exist. Next is physical discomfort and twitches. So meditation can really bring up a lot of physical discomfort, keeping your back straight and sitting in certain positions, and even it just shows you your relationship to discomfort in general. And bringing this stuff to your awareness is just can be hard to notice these dynamics, to really begin to see how unconscious you are can cause a lot of panic in people. And like I said, twitches as well. Like, we can have stuck emotions and energies in us, cause us to just kind of twitch or move in like jerky ways. And it can be very unpleasant. It can be very weird. It's very like not normal, right? The normal's to repress everything and to just act like everything's like fine when it kind of isn't. The norm is to work a job you hate and repress your emotions and to not really do a lot of personal growth or consciousness work or development. So yeah, when you have a practice that's making all your unconscious stuff conscious, that's a very threatening thing to the current order of everything, of how we do government, to how we think about health, to how we structure our lives on a day-to-day level, to how we relate to a loved one, to our priorities, to how we relate to ourselves and our own thoughts and our own emotions. So meditation really begins to disrupt a lot of things because so many things are just operating completely mechanically and unconsciously. And when you begin to apply awareness, like, yeah, things bubble up, difficult things bubble up. They're there inside of you, right? And when they do bubble up, you can process them, you can really maximize your awareness of them, you can actually release them and heal them. For some people, given their current state or stage of their life, that might not actually be the best thing for them. Like, it might be too difficult for them if they have very serious mental health issues or just no support. You know, there's so many people that exist that there's certain people like meditation might not be a great idea for them. Although I talk about it so much in my videos because, you know, I firmly believe that it can help the vast majority of people for a whole lot of things, right? There's endless benefits to meditation. There's so many benefits. It's a very powerful practice that I would recommend you actually do. You know, like I said, if you're like a fairly typical person and you don't have like very serious mental health problems, like, you know, you're going to have a psychotic break of some kind. But for some people, yeah, it can really cause them problems if they don't have the support or the context or the understanding of what's happening, or, you know, they don't have like a therapist to work with who's an actual good therapist. Most therapists are not very good. A little bit of my therapy beliefs there. I love therapy. I've read quite a lot of books on psychotherapy, but a lot of therapists are not revolutionary therapists. They don't have an incredibly deep understanding of human suffering or how to be happy or how to live a fulfilling life or any of this kind of stuff. Most therapists are just kind of mediocre. And I honestly also believe that practically everyone can benefit from high quality therapy because everyone has shadow in them. Everyone has repressed aspects to them. So I'm just trying to give you a little bit of nuance in this video, right? I want you to not use this information to like be like, oh, I shouldn't meditate. Or, you know, if some stuff on that list scared you, which I mean, it should scare you. A lot of that stuff is very uncomfortable. It's a lot of the exact things you like to hide from yourself. You know, try not to use this video as an excuse to not meditate, but also beware of what you're really getting into. And, you know, what other option is there for the pretty normal person in life? You can live your whole life just repressing things and denying them and being unconscious. That's kind of a miserable existence. Or you can become conscious, you can process your pain, you can heal and grow, right? You can actually experience a greater sense of well-being and connectedness to everything that exists. But by now, I'm pretty sure I've made my point clear on the point of this video. Meditation can be pretty dark, so just watch out. So even for normal people, everything I've mentioned is really difficult. And what I mean by normal is just, you know, people who just live a fairly typical life. Like, you're relatively normal, right? There's no real definition of normal, but you're relatively normal. And most of this stuff isn't going to send most people into a full-on psychotic break or full-on panic attack, and it's not going to cause an internal crisis. Like, your body's really smart. Your body doesn't actually allow you to experience everything you've repressed at the same time because it knows this will throw off the entire order of things within you. So it shows it to you incrementally. But for some people, it might not work like that. For some people, some things can just come up way too fast and way too strong, and, you know, they have a pre-existing set of conditions and history that might not be a very compatible match for meditating, at least in this period of their life, in this phase of their life. That's it for this video. I'm offering one-to-one coaching. You can book a free call. Link is in the description. Take it easy.